Discover the touching moment a billionaire uncovers an incredible bond at her husband's grave. Emily Harper stepped into the elevator of her penthouse, the city skyline filling her vision with muted brilliance beneath a heavy haze of grief. At 38, she was a self-made billionaire and a powerhouse in boardrooms, but today, as she pushed the button for her floor, the walls felt like they were closing in. Mark's sudden death had fractured more than just her marriage. It felt as if the whole architecture of her life had crumbled. Inside her luxurious cocoon, the emptiness echoed louder than New York's bustling streets, as memories lingered like phantoms in every untouched room. With each breath, the tension tightened around her chest, a mixture of pain and dread reminding her that while buildings might rise, love could dash away to dust in an instant. Initially, pushing through her sorrow had been almost a visceral act. The firm Harper Industries needed her focus. Every decision weighed heavier now without Mark at her side. But as she sat in her home office that felt more foreign than familiar, Emily could no longer chase away the ghosts of their dreams. She had built an empire, yet the thought of stepping outside to face a world without him paralyzed her. How could she remain the fierce woman everyone expected when she felt so utterly lost? The flickering sunlight barely illuminated her path as she reluctantly made her way to Mark's grave in Central Park a few days later. The vibrant leaves crunched underfoot, a stark contrast to the hollowness she felt inside. Standing before his name etched in cold stone, the winds brushed past her as if whispering riddles that beckoned her to question everything. With trembling hands she cleared away the leaves and debris. Alone in the presence of his memory, she was fueled by a need to connect, to bring life into the stillness of this unforeseen void. Then something caught her eye, a journal frayed and eloquent, wedged beneath the wilting flowers. Her fingers brushed over the cover, and a rush of urgency surged through her veins. Curiosity nudged her to open it, revealing Mark's playful scrawl, sentences that held secrets of vulnerability, wrapped in love and compassion she had never fully known. Each page unfurled stories of another life. A widow named Anna living across the street. With each entry, Emily's heart twisted, revealing a side of her late husband that had been hidden from her. She read on, confronted by the unease blooming within her. Mark had poured time and heart into helping Anna and her daughter, acts of kindness that sprang from a source deeper than wealth. The very thought clawed at Emily, pulling her between worlds, her luxurious bubble and the raw reality of others' suffering. And had never entered the equation of their lives before. She had ignored the struggles of the less fortunate, immersed in the bubble of her success. Now, grappling with the jagged reality of Mark's unexpected legacy, her fingers felt sticky with confrontation. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With a heart heavy but ignited with resolve, Emily wondered if she could honor Mark's memory by reaching out to Anna. Partnering with her seemed like a pathway to something meaningful. Yet insecurities crowded her mind. Would her involvement come off as a heartfelt gesture, or merely a calculated power play in a world rife with disparity? The judgment of others felt like a looming cloud, an ever-present reminder of her privilege. Could she balance the weight of her intentions with the fear of being viewed as yet another billionaire preaching from an ivory tower? As she prepared for this leap, the intensity of her emotions threatened to sweep her away. Questions ricocheted through her mind. Could she really embody Mark's legacy in a way that mattered? What transformation would this bring for her? And could she walk the path of compassion despite her upbringing? Standing at the intersection of grief and emerging purpose, Emily discovered that she was shaping a new identity, one where true wealth lay not in accolades and assets, but in compassion and connection. Yet, with those thoughts swirling like the city fog outside, she knew this journey was only beginning, and the shadows of doubt clung to her like a second skin. The morning sun peeked through the sheer curtains of her penthouse, casting soft rays that seemed to urge Emily to rise. A week had passed since she had discovered Mark's journal, and while deep sorrow still lingered, a flicker of determination began to germinate in her heart. She had wrestled with the idea of reaching out to Anna. Mark's unwitting connection to another life entirely, and the thought had begun to transform from a daunting task into a beacon of purpose. After several tense days of deliberating how to approach Anna, Emily finally resolved to act. She meticulously composed a letter, pouring her soul into every word, trying to capture both her vulnerability and her earnest desire to connect. In her mind, this wasn't just about guilt or atoning for a past ignorance, it was about honoring Mark's compassion, in a way that might breathe new life into the space between them. Yet even as she hit send on the email, her hands trembled. What would Anna think? Would she see Emily as a patronizing billionaire, out of touch with reality? The fear of rejection cut deeper than she expected. What if she had misinterpreted Mark's actions? Maybe he had wanted to help without crossing the barriers of wealth and privilege. With each passing hour, anxiety bloomed in her chest. She had always been a woman with plans and strategies, navigating boardroom battles with meticulous precision. Now she felt vulnerable and exposed. The ringing phone, an unexpected distraction, pulled her from her spiraling thoughts. Emily? It was Claire, her closest friend and the only confidant in her world of success. I heard about your outreach. Are you okay? I'm not sure, she admitted, the weight of her uncertainty spilling forth. I want to honor Mark, but I'm scared it will come off as me trying to rescue someone. This isn't about savior complexes. It's about connection. Claire's silence resonated longer than expected. You're not trying to save anyone, Emily. Every time we step out of our comfort zones, we have the opportunity to learn something about ourselves. Look at how much you've already changed just by confronting your own feelings of grief. The conversation lingered in Emily's mind long after they hung up. Claire's words acted as a catalyst, reshaping her self-perception. This journey wasn't mere philanthropy. It was an awakening. She began considering how Mark's gestures had unearthed not just moments of connection for Anna, but also insights about her own identity and life choices. Determined, Emily decided that if her intentions were to embrace compassion, she must also confront the uncomfortable truths of her privilege. She began creating a plan. She wanted to involve herself meaningfully, not as someone who simply wrote checks, but as a partner. This sparked a new urgency in her. What programs could she help Anna develop? What community issues around them could she influence with the resources at her disposal? Emily delved into research, tapping into local initiatives aimed at mother and child support in underserved neighborhoods. She envisioned collaborative workshops where they could share their stories. Empowerment through education was her kinetic fuel, and the more she uncovered, the more excitement fed her resolve. As the days dragged on, she found herself grappling with feelings she had long suppressed: anger at herself for ignoring her surroundings, guilt for the luxury of her solitude, and ultimately, a burgeoning hope that perhaps she could be more than just the billionaire. She would be a force for change, beginning with a simple but profound connection. When Anna finally replied, a mixture of gratitude and wariness, the words felt like the turning point she had longed for. The invitation to meet ignited a whirlwind of anticipation and anxiety. She knew the time had come for her to face herself and confront the possibility of building a new partnership. A journey of redemption, compassion, and perhaps even friendship now lay before her. But as the enormity of this fresh path unfolded, a single thought surged through her mind with unyielding force. What would Anna truly think of her? The moment of their first encounter loomed, and she could feel the gravity of destiny pulling her into its embrace. Would this be a bridge to understanding, or a divide she would never cross? The evening finally arrived, a gentle whisper of anticipation mingling with the scent of jasmine wafting through her open balcony doors. As Emily stood before the mirror, she adjusted her outfit for the umpteenth time, her gaze scrutinizing the reflection that stared back, 1 part confident executive, 2 parts anxious stranger. It was hard to reconcile the two. Who was she trying to impress, anyway? The thought sent an electric surge of doubt coursing through her veins. She had meticulously chosen an understated ensemble, designed to signal approachability rather than distance. Each piece had reflected careful consideration, as if wrapping herself in intentions that mirrored her newfound purpose. But each moment spent adjusting her collar and smoothing imagined wrinkles only amplified her apprehension about the encounters yet to unfold. What was supposed to be an evening of connection felt more like an impending examination. Anna was just an ordinary woman, yet Emily felt acutely aware of their contrasting worlds looming between them. Would Anna see her wealth as a barrier? Would she sense Emily's insecurities hidden beneath her poised exterior? The questions swirled in and out of focus, like the evening shadows playing tricks on her. Arriving at the cafe precisely on time, she scanned the room, her heart racing as she spotted Anna, seated at a table near the back, framed by soft light spilling from vintage lamps. Anna, in denim and a faded sweater, appeared relaxed yet guarded, her fingers absent-mindedly fidgeting with the edge of her notebook. Emily would soon learn that this first encounter would unlock a reservoir of unexpected reflection, an opportunity to confront her own propensity to withdraw into her carefully curated world. Taking a deep breath, Emily approached, each step punctuated by a mix of determination and dread. With every confident stride forward, she was acutely aware of herself. An individual who had navigated delicate negotiations and forged alliances, yet now felt raw and exposed. She wondered what lay ahead. "Hi, Anna. It's good to finally meet you," Emily greeted, her voice steadier than the fluttering in her stomach suggested. Anna looked up, her expression uncertain. "You too, Emily. I appreciate you reaching out." Her smile, though faint, was genuine, and it warmed Emily more than she anticipated. Above all, it signaled the first step in bridging their disparate worlds. Sitting down, the initial moments were punctuated by awkward small talk, a performance meant to mitigate the looming intensity of unspoken emotions and expectations. Yet, as they began to share bits of their lives, Emily found herself increasingly drawn into Anna's world, a realm filled with resilience and candid struggles that paralleled her own burgeoning growth. Anna spoke about her challenges as a single mother, her dreams rooted in community and connection, unfurling through stories laced with passion and vulnerability. Emily listened, absorbing each revelation like a sponge, feeling the walls of her previously insulated existence begin to crack, allowing sunlight of understanding to seep in. "I want to start workshops for mothers like me," Anna said, her eyes burning with determination, not just to teach skills but to create a support network. Emily's heart leapt at the vision. For the first time, she could see a tangible way her influence and resources could align with Anna's mission. Ideas began to swirl in her mind, potential collaborations, shared training programs, and community resources that could elevate Anna's noble intentions into action. But the momentum of excitement was soon eclipsed by a feeling of guilt that surged back into focus. Her privilege loomed over her like a shadow, the realization that while she had the means to effectuate change, she was still coming from an affluent perspective. Would her involvement, however well-meaning, feel disingenuous to Anna? The same question echoed louder now, clawing at her resolve. Just as the evening began to find its rhythm, a sudden sound broke through the atmosphere. A text alert. With a blend of anxiety and curiosity, Emily glanced down at her phone, a pang of trepidation gripping her. It was a message from Claire, one she had sent earlier in the day before their meeting. Returning her gaze to Anna, she saw the questions reflected back in her eyes and felt the pressure to share her truth with the woman across the table. It was an internal conflict that compelled her. "Can I tell you something?" Emily asked, feeling the weight of both the moment and the choice pressing on her. As she began to speak, a profound inner dialogue shifted within. What Anna would soon learn could very well define the path they were embarking upon together. Would this choice solidify a bridge or reveal a chasm? The air between them crackled with untold stories, and with each word, Emily, plunging into an unfamiliar vulnerability, felt the walls begin to crumble. Would the raw honesty break the tension that clung to their meeting? Or would it crack their fragile connection under the weight of secrets unfolded? Emily held her breath, the words spilling from her as if they had been trapped within her for too long. "I struggle with feeling disconnected. Even with the success I've achieved, sometimes it feels like a mask, and I wonder if anyone sees me for who I really am." Her voice trembled, but she pressed on, revealing glimpses of the fears that had haunted her, the doubts that clouded her achievements. Anna's expression shifted, a mixture of surprise and empathy washing over her face. "I get that," she responded, her voice low and warm. "I often feel like I'm not just raising my son but keeping my past at bay too. The struggles don't end when you wear a badge of honor." The acknowledgement resonated with Emily. The tension that had gripped the table loosened, a thread of connection weaving between them, an honest exchange of vulnerabilities. Yet, the path ahead felt fraught with uncertainty. Could this blossoming friendship withstand the weight of their respective backgrounds? As their conversation deepened, Emily found herself enchanted by Anna's authenticity. Each story Anna shared, the triumphs mingled with heartbreak, wove a narrative that revealed resilient threads Emily hadn't dared to pull in her own life. It was profoundly disarming, and she realized how much she had yearned for this type of connection. "I want to help you with your workshops," Emily stated, the words flowing out with a clarity she hadn't expected. "I believe in what you're doing. Your vision is beautiful." Anna's gaze flickered, a blend of gratitude and skepticism. "But why? Don't you think it's, I don't know, out of character for someone like you?" The question pierced through, and for a moment, Emily felt exposed once more, the dichotomy of their worlds looming large. "It's complicated. I know I have privilege that I can sometimes hide behind, but I want to use what I have to create something meaningful. Not for my sake but for others. I don't want it to feel like charity, I want it to be a collaboration." Emily's heart raced at her own words. Was she finally allowing her inner convictions to seep out, unfiltered? She was stepping out of her ivory tower, a transition she had been resisting. Anna's expression softened, and Emily noticed the slight crack in her initial skepticism. "It's a big commitment, you know? What if this doesn't work?" "Then we'll find another path," Emily replied, her voice firmer now. "I care about this because it matters. I think we can genuinely make a difference." The conversation hung in the air, electric with possibility. In that moment, Emily recognized a flicker of self-worth igniting within her. She felt a pang of hope, not just for their potential collaboration, but for her own evolution. These past few hours had stirred something deep inside. It wasn't just about mentoring someone from a different background. It was about being vulnerable, embracing her own flaws and connecting authentically. But as the weight of this realization settled in, Emily felt an all-too-familiar pulse of anxiety threading through her. Alongside hope resided a fear, that of the unknown, the fear of opening herself up entirely, or worse, failing at what she had dared to inspire. Just then, Anna's phone buzzed, pulling them both from the intimate space they had crafted. The reality of their separate lives encroached, and in that moment of distraction, Emily's heart raced again, not just from fear, but from curiosity about what lay ahead. "Sorry, I need to take this," Anna said, her tone shifting as she glanced at her screen. "Can we pause?" As the words left her lips, an unsettling sense of urgency flooded Emily's mind. Would this moment mark a pivotal shift toward genuine collaboration, or become a mere interlude overshadowed by the inevitable return to their initial circles? "Of course," Emily replied, but even as she spoke, the question loomed over her like a storm cloud. Was this fleeting moment enough to forge a new path? Or would her privilege always serve as a barrier? With Anna's attention diverted, Emily wrestled with the weight of expectation and vulnerability, feeling the path before her twist and turn unpredictably. She caught a glimpse of potential transformation within herself, within their relationship, within the lives they could touch together, but uncertainty loomed like an unyielding shadow. As Anna hurriedly finished her call, Emily felt the diverging currents of fear and excitement pull her in two directions. Ultimately, it was a decision waiting to be forged, but she innocently questioned herself. Could she truly embrace this next chapter? Or would she let fear dictate her choices once more? What would she risk to ensure that what had just begun did not spiral away into the chaos of her old habitual world? The night was far from over, yet within it lingered a tethered sense of possibility, swelling like the tide. But deep down, Emily feared what waves may crash upon her shores next. Emily's thoughts clashed like thunder in a brewing storm as Anna returned from her call, her expression slightly softened yet still guarded. It was evident that the flowing connection they had begun to establish teetered on the edge of vulnerability and risk. Did Anna sense Emily's trepidation? Did she, too, wonder if this encounter would evolve into something transformative? "Thank you for waiting," Anna said, her tone shifting back to casual, yet Emily noticed a flicker of seriousness in her eyes. "I know this is a big step for you. Why don't we start small and see how it goes?" Small. The word lingered in Emily's mind, intermingling with her ambition. She had always approached her endeavors like a meticulously crafted plan, every step calculated, every advance built upon the firm foundation of her experience. But this venture with Anna reframed her map of progress into a landscape dotted with uncertainties. "I'd really like that," Emily replied, surprised at the steadiness in her voice. Maybe we can begin by discussing what you envision for the workshops. A newfound determination pushed her forward. She began to envision chairs filled with eager faces, the warmth of shared laughter and stories, the whisper of inspiration spreading from one participant to another. Yet her mind flickered back to her own hesitations, threatening to stifle the hope blossoming inside. As Anna explained her vision, her dreams of creating space where different pathways intersected, Emily sensed the emotional undercurrents, not just the words. Anna spoke of the value of listening, of connecting on a deeper level, and Emily found herself captivated, picturing not just the impact on others but on herself. Real change can come from real conversations, Anna emphasized, leaning forward, her passion palpable. I want this to be a safe place for people to share, to grow, and I think you could really add to that atmosphere with your experience. Add to that atmosphere. The phrase reverberated through Emily's mind, laying bare the sneaking doubt that she could indeed contribute. She faltered, the fear lurking at the edges of her resolve. She had lived a life cloistered within privilege, adept at navigating business dinner discussions and boardroom negotiations. Yet here lay an entirely different skill set, one she had yet to discover in herself. I want this to work, Anna, she declared, her voice steadying as clarity descended upon her. But I also need you to understand where I'm coming from. Anna nodded, encouraging, and Emily continued, her words spilling forth with unexpected weight. I've built my life on what was expected of me. The accolades, the promotions, those were easy, but this feels raw. The whole idea makes me apprehensive, and I fear I won't be enough. Anna's brow furrowed slightly, a concern surfacing. You're not meant to be perfect, Emily. It's not about being enough. It's about sharing your experiences. It's about honesty. Emily's chest tightened. Honesty. She had been adept at creating a persona that showcased her strength and success, leaving her vulnerabilities in the shadows. But as Anna's words sank in, it ignited a flicker of bravery and awareness that her truest power lay in revealing those very flaws. After a pause, Emily spoke again, equally vulnerable and resolute. Perhaps you're right. I can't be just the polished version of myself. I need to bring the real me to this, flaws and all. A smile broke across Anna's face, and Emily felt a swell of connection, but it was accompanied by the sharp tang of apprehension. What would it mean to expose those vulnerabilities? To risk judgment or worse, rejection? Yet she had begun to see herself not just as a beacon, but as a participant in a shared journey. The silence hung heavily between them, filled with unspoken possibilities and the groundwork laid for transformation. Within it, Emily could feel the prospect of a new inner strength burgeoning, one that was raw, unfiltered, and incredibly inviting. Let us start this journey together, Anna said softly, her reassurance a gentle beacon. Against the tumult of Emily's worries, as they made tentative plans, Emily felt herself leaning into this decision, but an all too familiar shadow of doubt whispered cautions in the corners of her mind. Would she be able to sustain this new version of herself, or was this mere idealism bound for disappointment? Before we dive in, I want to share something, Anna said, her voice steady yet laced with emotion. There's something we need to confront first, something that has always shaped my perspective. Emily's stomach flipped. Confrontation was imminent, and an unsettling thrill raced through her. What revelation would Anna unveil, and how would it shape their journey? The weight of anticipation settled heavily as they prepared to uncover the stories that lay beneath the surface, and all too soon, Emily would find herself not just an observer but an active participant in a narrative far larger than her own. Emily settled deeper into her chair, the atmosphere around them thickening with expectation. Anna's hesitance mirrored her own, yet within that pause lay the possibility of a shared revelation. The stakes felt higher than ever. She sensed it wasn't just Anna's story that would unfold today. It was a pivotal moment for them both, a gateway into the unknown. I was afraid I would lose my voice, Anna began, her gaze focused on a distant point. After my brother died, everything shifted. I still navigate feelings of guilt and doubt about whether I should even be here leading, speaking. Each word dripped with an honesty Emily had yet to fully embrace. I thought I needed to have it all together to show strength. But what I learned is that vulnerability is not a weakness. It's the source of true connection. Emily's apprehension morphed into curiosity. She had known grief after all. Loss was an uninvited guest in her life, lingering just beneath the surface. But hearing Anna articulate her experiences stirred something deep within her, beckoning her to step beyond the familiar fortress of success she had meticulously built. "What did you do to rebuild?" Emily asked, the question tumbling from her lips. Anna turned toward her, eyes glistening. "I faced it, sat with it. Allowed myself to feel everything, the joy, the pain, all of it. I realized that my voice wasn't confined to grand speeches or polished presentations. It could simply be a whisper, sharing grief, sharing life. That's when I understood the power of storytelling. It connects us." Storytelling. That word reverberated through Emily's mind, opening doors to possibilities she had never considered. She thought of her corporate strategies and bullet points, sleek yet sterile in their presentation. Could she translate the same principles into a narrative, infusing authenticity while confronting her vulnerabilities? A small smile broke through the tension as an idea began to form. What if we created a space for people to share their stories? Not just guidance and workshops, but a platform for vulnerability. A night of storytelling where everyone's voice is valued, flaws and all? The words felt freeing, almost like a liberation from her former self. "Now that's the spirit, Emily," Anna exclaimed, her enthusiasm igniting a blossoming fire within Emily. Yet, as excitement surged, an undercurrent of fear tinged her thoughts. What would happen when she stepped beyond her comfort zone, unveiling parts of herself she had kept hidden? The fear of inadequacy loomed large, threatening to unravel the momentum she had begun to build. "Do you think people want to hear my stories?" she questioned, the anxiety creeping back in. Anna reached over, placing her hand on Emily's arm, grounding her. "It's not about them wanting to hear you. It's about you daring to share. Your narratives, your experiences, they matter. Remember, vulnerability breeds connection. It's what makes us human." Each word resonated with precision, sparking something deep within Emily. Anna had crossed a threshold she had only glanced at before. Could she do the same? Could she grapple with her insecurities and emerge transformed? The boldness of that possibility sent a ripple of anxiety through her. The very thought of standing in front of others, bearing her vulnerabilities, felt overwhelming. But even through the apprehension, a flicker of defiance emerged. Wasn't this growth? Wasn't this the very challenge that could reveal an empowered version of herself? "Let us not rush," Anna added softly, sensing Emily's storm of emotions. "We can start with small group sessions. Test the waters. Grow into it." Nodding, Emily felt the weight of her fear being carried just slightly. Guided by Anna's lead, a sense of empowerment stirred within her, sparking transformative reflections about self-discovery beneath layers of expectation. With each suggestion, Emily was slowly unearthing a path that felt authentically hers. Yet, as the conversation flowed, a new hesitation crept in, a question never uttered. What happened if she stumbled? If the stories she revealed were met with indifference or rejection? The juxtaposition of vulnerability and credibility danced tantalizingly close, igniting a complex mix of emotions that hummed beneath her skin. "Before we finalize anything," Emily ventured, her resolve shining through doubt, "I want to explore the potential impact this could create, both for the participants and for myself. After all, if I'm going to do this, I need to understand the why behind it." Anna smiled knowingly, a spark igniting in Emily's heart. That's the key. Understanding your why will anchor you when the storm tightens. As they delved into the logistics of crafting their narrative workshop, Emily could feel the boundaries of her world begin to expand. Each layer peeled back unveiled not just a commitment to community storytelling, but a commitment to herself, a journey toward authenticity that was beginning to redefine her existence. Yet, unresolved questions loomed large as the conversation shifted yet again. What unseen challenges awaited in this unknown territory? Would Emily's voice weave seamlessly into this new fabric? Or would it falter against the storms of her unfulfilled fears? The path was set. An exploration of her very essence awaited on the precipice of vulnerability. And somewhere deep inside her, a rise of uncharted anticipation thrummed, a whisper daring her to trust in the strength she was beginning to uncover. Would she embrace her truth, or retreat into the shadows, safe but unfulfilled? As the evening drew near, Emily felt a restless pulse guiding her through the chaotic mesh of thoughts swirling in her mind. The prospect of unveiling her story had her oscillating between courage and fear. She paced the confines of her small office, appreciating the unremarkable surroundings that had long since lost their meaning. Each click of her heels against the floor echoed her inner conflict, a rhythm of determination clashing with anxiety. Moments ago, a seed had been planted. The idea of a storytelling platform resonated deeply within her, igniting an unexpected fervor. Yet as quickly as enthusiasm surged, self-doubt loomed larger. What if her stories were too mundane or, worse yet, too vulnerable? The what-ifs circled her mind like vultures, ever watchful, ready to swoop down at a moment of weakness. Determined to confront this unease, she took a seat at her desk, grabbing a blank notebook. The pages bore witness to her past, a collection of thoughts, presentations, plans. Now they would transform into something new, a canvas for self-exploration. "What's my story?" she murmured, pen poised above the paper. After another moment she wrote, "I've always been the one with the answers." She leaned into the sentiment, a faint smile curling her lips. It had been her crutch, the shield she wielded against the world. But what if those answers were laced with fear and uncertainty? Flipping the page, the pen glided forth, carving out a narrative not of polished summaries but rather of moments nestled in the heart of discomfort. What do I hide behind my professional facade? The question hung heavy in the air. She breathed deeply, feeling the weight of her own hesitance. Moving further, she pressed on. "I fear inadequacy." The realization stung, a truth that had eluded her grasp for years. Minutes turned into hours as words began to flow. She charted the timeline of her life, the triumphs interspersed with the failures she had buried beneath layers of achievement. There was the corporate deal that crumbled at the last moment, the shaky hands delivering a presentation that went sideways, the missed time with family sacrificed on the altar of ambition. Each recollection bore witness to a side of her existence she had long hidden away. A pivotal memory bubbled to the surface. A childhood incident where she hesitated to share a poem, fear of mockery silencing her. That same fear echoed even now. Am I still afraid of being dismissed? She found herself writing, a bittersweet acknowledgement that the child within her remained all too present. With her heart racing, Emily paused to reflect. Was there strength in embracing these vulnerabilities instead of shying away from them? A sudden surge of clarity washed over her. This exploration wasn't just about storytelling. It was about liberation. What if her own narrative could spark transformation? Not just for her but for others entangled in similar fears. "I can be the bridge," she wrote, the ink hasty and bold. Each letter felt like a tiny act of rebellion against the confines of her expectations. The thought energized her. She wouldn't just reveal her vulnerabilities, she would show their strength. As she wrapped up her reflections for the evening, a sense of calm washed over her, one that hinted at new beginnings. There would be discomfort ahead, no doubt. Stepping into this uncharted territory meant reckoning with both failure and validation. But she was ready to face it. That night, Emily slept soundly for the first time in ages. Her dreams were filled with vibrant stories waiting to be shared. Yet even in this tranquility, a conscious murmur persisted. Each tale would require a phase of acceptance, not just from her audience but from herself. Would she secure this resolution, or would she falter when the moment of first exposure arrived? The next day dawned bright and full of promise. A new chapter awaited, but the flicker of doubt never waned completely. How would she navigate the impending confrontation between her long-held fears and her budding courage? The answer loomed. Just beyond the horizon, shrouded in the thrill of discovery and an ever-present shadow of trepidation. Emily awoke bathed in sunlight, determination vibrating within her. The notebook lay open on her desk, a testament to her sleepless night of radical self-exploration. She glanced at the hastily written words, her declaration to be a bridge, and felt a surge pulsate through her. Today marked a turning point. No longer would she hide behind projections of infallibility. She needed structure, a plan to carve a path through her fears and onto the storytelling platform she envisioned. It wasn't enough to write for herself. She had to strategize for her audience too. With resolve, Emily shuffled through her past postings, gathering insights from her experiences. As she reviewed her previous work, a sharp ache of recognition arose. Each corporate presentation, article, and LinkedIn post had contained a veneer of accomplishment, yet the vulnerability behind them had been glaringly absent. Was she willing to revisit those raw truths? She tapped her pen against the page and drafted a list titled Emotional Anchors. Each entry, a milestone or a setback, grounded her story. The corporate deal that fell apart, the nervous stumbles, these were woven into the fabric of who she was. They were not failures to shun but rather threads to display proudly, for they painted a more complete picture of resilience. But a thought gnawed at her: what would her colleagues, friends, or even strangers think? The fear of being judged resurfaced, bubbling beneath her newfound enthusiasm. She could expose her vulnerabilities, but would she face scorn or support? Could she even bear the rejection? In that moment, a depth of introspection replaced the doubt. Facing rejection was a risk everyone encountered, a pathway to connection through shared stories. Empathy burgeoned within her alongside the anxiety, illuminating a hidden truth: vulnerability was indeed a strength. Her pinned fears could provide solace to others navigating similar emotions. As she scribbled her reflections, Emily felt a shift. Within this embrace of authenticity, she uncovered a deeper motivation. Her desire not only to empower herself through storytelling, but to forge connections that could resonate widely. What if by revealing her experiences, she inspired others to confront their fears? The idea invigorated her. She powered through a rough outline for her first story, an unvarnished account of vulnerability in professional settings. It was bold and raw, defying the polished facade she had presented until now. With the framework complete, excitement swelled each time she envisioned sharing these snippets: the poignant moments, the struggles embodying humanity. It was raw, it was real. In reclaiming her narrative, Emily felt a flicker of hope that this journey could not only change her, but others as well. But as the words flowed, another revelation struck. What if she reached more people than she anticipated? What if her stories sparked transformation in a larger audience? Balance was essential as she wrestled with the ambition clenched tightly in her chest. Turning back to her notebook, Emily wrote another thought: each voice I share can extend beyond my own. This mantra ignited a newfound urgency and vision. The idea of her work fostering conversation sparked a restless energy and an emerging sense of responsibility. In the subsequent days, she commanded her time with terrifying and exhilarating fervor. Emily launched her platform with a cautious excitement that felt electric against the backdrop of her reality. Yet, with these small steps forward came creeping fears. The tension between hope and the potential for failure rippled through her psyche. Determined to face whatever backlash or indifference awaited, she found herself at an unusual crossroads. A compelling invitation to share her work at a local writers' workshop. It was a community gathering of aspiring authors, yet her heart was in turmoil. Would this be a safe haven for her candid expressions, or a stage for vulnerability to become her downfall? As she weighed the risks, Emily's resolve solidified. The time had come to face the audience, she thought, riding a wave of excitement and trepidation. What awaited her at that workshop could ultimately reshape her journey, an encounter between her most authentic self and the judging eyes of strangers. The question loomed now. Could she step out from behind her wall and connect with those watching? Or would fear tip her back toward silence? Emily arrived at the workshop with her heart thumping in her chest, each beat echoing with trepidation and anticipation. The room pulsed with creative energy. Aspiring authors huddled in small clusters, sharing fragments of their work and their dreams. She paused at the entrance, taking in the sight of hopeful faces, but her place among them felt uncertain. Inhaling deeply, she stepped inside. The moment she crossed the threshold, a kaleidoscope of internal dialogue swirled within her. This was her platform, an opportunity to share her story. Yet doubt seeped in, wrapping itself around her thoughts like a looming shadow. She made her way to an empty seat, tucking her notebook under her arm as if it were a lifeline. The facilitator, a seasoned author replete with wisdom and a magnetic charisma, encouraged participants to read their pieces aloud. Emily's palms felt slick with sweat. Behind every fear of judgment lay the desire for connection, and it gnawed at her resolve. As the first reader stood and spoke, Emily listened, entranced. Each word spilled forth with authenticity, illuminating the vulnerabilities that danced beneath the surface. The audience responded. Laughter, sighs, and murmurs of agreement punctuated the readings. A warmth spread through the room, woven by shared experiences and collective empathy. But as the facilitator called for another round, a surge of fear rose within Emily. What if her truths didn't resonate? What if she became a subject of ridicule rather than support? A heavy weight settled in her stomach, tight like a vice. This was not only about sharing her work. It was about exposing her very self. She glanced at her notebook. The words that had felt so powerful in solitude now seemed pockmarked with vulnerability. In that moment of indecision, Emily could almost hear her resolution from earlier, almost mocking her. Each voice I share can extend beyond my own. Could this really be her moment to embody those words? The participants began to shift. Anxiety flickered through her as she noticed the empty chair beside her. It could easily transform from a comfort zone to a regretful hurdle. An unwritten page of what could have been. With her heart racing, she clutched her notebook tighter and rose from her seat. "I want to share," she called out, the words escaping before she had fully processed them. The room quieted and she felt every pair of eyes locking onto her, each piercing gaze amplifying her fears and nudging her toward release. Racing thoughts spun within her, blurring lines between courage and fear. As she approached the small podium, she felt the weight of her story, the fragility of her revelations dancing at the tips of her fingers. Emily opened her notebook and began to read, the tremor in her voice barely masking the storm beneath. With each word, an internal battle raged. Memories of past failures merged with present hopes, a jarring juxtaposition that both terrified and liberated her. She spoke of the corporate presentations, the moments where she faltered, and the shame she had felt for not always being perfect. The silence felt heavy but also electrifying. As the story unfurled, an unexpected shift occurred. Laughter echoed at her missteps, nods punctuated her realizations. Not only were they listening, but they were also connecting. Emily's vulnerabilities transformed into collective laughter and understanding, a bridge built with shared humanity. When she finally finished, an overwhelming sense of relief washed over her. The applause reverberated in her ears not as a reward, but as validation. No longer was she trapped by the fear of judgment. She found freedom in the shared breath of their collective experience. But just as the rush of exhilaration surged through her, another thought crept in. Had she embedded enough of herself within her story? Did she truly embrace her vulnerability? As she absorbed the looks of fascination, she couldn't deny a lingering doubt. What more could she uncover, both in herself and in this community? The workshop was only the beginning. She reflected on the connection she'd forged. A new question emerged. What if she could harness this electricity and take it further? What if there were a larger platform awaiting her voice, filled with potential and risks yet unknown? With renewed energy coursing through her, Emily realized her journey had only begun. The possibilities ahead sprawled before her, uncharted territory, beckoning her to step forth. She left the workshop, excitement bubbling within and fear lingering on the periphery. What awaited her beyond those doors? And would she have the courage to pursue her newfound ambition? Emily Harper stood at the precipice of her redefined world, a landscape filled with possibilities intertwined with the shadows of her past. It had been several months since her life took a profound turn with her decision to form a partnership with Anna. Together, they created storytelling workshops that had transformed into a sanctuary for mothers, building empathy and connection through shared experiences. As the sun dipped below the bustling skyline of New York, Emily couldn't help but inhale deeply, feeling the air thrumming around her with untold stories just waiting to be shared. The vibrant chatter of participants filled the room where she and Anna had labored to cultivate a safe haven, a platform for honest reflection, leaving her previously achingly lonely mansion behind. The culmination of their efforts was fast approaching, a showcase event, where the participants would take center stage and unveil their narratives. As she prepared in the mirror that afternoon, she caught a glimpse of a woman transformed. The reflection was no longer one trapped by the fear of judgment. It radiated with a sense of purpose that felt both exhilarating and daunting. "Emily," Anna's voice broke through her reverie. "Are you ready for tonight?" A flicker of apprehension stirred within her. "Ready?" she replied, a hint of disbelief in her tone. "How could I be ready? I feel the weight of every story that will be shared tonight. What if they don't feel the connection?" Anna's reassuring smile grounded her. "You've built something incredible here. This is what abundance feels like, not just in wealth but in connection. You've conquered your fears and forged new paths. This journey is just as much about embracing the vulnerability in others as in yourself." The truth in Anna's words resonated deep within Emily. She was no longer the woman who would hide behind polished presentations and the apprehensive facade. She had emerged as a facilitator of growth for others. The months of collaboration with Anna had led her down a fresh trajectory of fulfillment and impact that she had previously thought unattainable. Arriving at the venue, the atmosphere surged with anticipation. With every passing minute, her excitement grew, swelling to replace the lingering doubts that would have otherwise filled that space. The event was not just a formality. It symbolized the culmination of her journey toward genuine connection and authenticity that sprang from shared vulnerability. This wasn't Emily contending with the shadows of her privilege. It was about every woman lifting her voice against the tides of isolation that had drowned so many before. As it commenced, she watched from the side as each participant stepped up one by one, bearing pieces of their lives that had remained locked away. Their stories unfolded before an audience that embraced their struggles, resonating as each shared laugh and tear knitted the collective fabric of understanding. The first speaker, a single mother, heart-racing, delivered a raw account of her hardships while achieving the impossible in caring for her kids. The room erupted in applause that sent ripples of shared resilience through the air. Emily felt a swell of pride. Each tale ignited flames of inspiration, a chorus of courage reverberating off the walls. As the night wore on, it became undeniable. Every voice amplified added value, a dagger to loneliness. And her heartbeat kept time, matching rhythm with each revelation. Then it was her turn. As she approached the stage, the insecurities that once felt so suffocating began to fade. She dared to speak, not from the polished script of her past but as a woman who had laughed, cried, and persevered through her very own vulnerabilities. "I've always believed success stood on the shoulders of strength," she began, the weight of her former life dangling just behind her. "But it wasn't until I witnessed the stories around me that I learned the real essence of wealth is found in vulnerability and understanding. My journey was not built from power. It was built on connection and compassion for others, and witnessing the power of your stories has made me whole." As she spoke, her voice carried both an electric charge and a soothing lilt, embracing her truth. The audience was transfixed, glancing around and nodding in consensus. And as she spoke of her previous fears, that crippling paranoia fueled by an inflated expectation of perfection, she felt a profound resonance wash over the room. When she stepped down, an eruption of applause enveloped her. But more than that, each face reflected a shared spirit of vulnerability that shattered barriers. Genuine connection flourished. She had both proven herself and transformed in unison with those around her. That night, she learned a profound truth. To reveal the depths of one's soul invites others to do the same. They were no longer merely participants. They had become allies woven together by the stories they dared to reveal under the soft light of a welcoming stage. As she left the venue, exhilarating laughter and quiet conversation trailing behind her, Emily recognized an undeniable shift. She had achieved much more than merely reaching out. She had unveiled her voice and reclaimed her narrative, no longer burdened by the shadows of her history. It was as if she had been reborn not just as a businesswoman, but as a woman of depth, fostered by those she learned from, and most importantly, a woman who understood that true wealth lies in the shared journey, the lessons learned from vulnerability answered with empathy. Tonight, she had not only embraced her truth but had danced with it, reveling in the gift of connection that awaited. No longer would she hide behind her accolades, but rather stand proudly, wielding them not as armor but as an invitation for all to find their voice in a world that needed it now more than ever. This was her moment, and it was just the beginning. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.